remade.
Hello, folks. My name is Manny Mendez, and I want to share my story and how I overcame certain obstacles in my life, including 25 years of active addiction and a mindset that spiraled my life out of control, to include 4 years in juvenile programs and 11 and a half years in prison. But before I tell you how I did it, I want to show you my life today from when I first wake up to all of my daily activities. You see, this is the miracle, but this didn't happen overnight. Many of us who have had troublesome past may outgrow them, but some like myself can't break this cycle even if you paid us. The stronghold, the enemy, the devil, addiction, or whatever it is that's holding you from living a life with purpose is strong. Some of us watching this film will know exactly what I'm talking about because it's you. Some will know somebody we care about deeply that just can't seem to get it together. Even after numerous attempts, we thought consequences, jails, rehabs, even health issues would help them change, but it hasn't. I'm not gonna take you through a timeline of how my troubles begun. I was a pretty good kid growing up, even though my family dynamics were not. My father was an alcoholic and abusive. No excuse, plenty of kids grew up in worse situations and did great things with their life. Not me. I arrived to the United States from Cuba at the age of 9, feeling completely out of place and not knowing the language. It was 1980, and within 4 years here, I had already become accustomed to getting away with things, smoking weed, drinking, and juvenile detention center. And then at 13 years old, this story takes an even worse turn. I tried crack cocaine for the first time. Game over. Any type of rehabilitation prior to this was gone. The year was 1984, and the war on drugs was aimed at punishing rather than rehabilitating. This is where my life spiraled out of control, and institutions became my home. I was a complete menace to society. I entered rehab for the first time as an adolescent at 13 years old. My mother found me smoking crack cocaine out of a can in my bedroom. I would be released from day juvenile detention center on any day of the week and find myself back in detention within 24 to 48 hours. Did this multiple times, and the sentencing to juvenile programs got longer, 6 to 9 months. And while in one of them, my family decided to move out of Miami to West Palm Beach, thinking that would give me a fresh start, a new beginning. Only problem was that addresses changed, but not my mindset. When I changed the place, I automatically changed people because I didn't know nobody up here. But it's still, I think from personal experience, it's definitely a mindset that needs to take place before the people and the places, because you bring you with you. It could be a new city, it could be a new town. I've done that multiple times, and in the worst of circumstances, riding bicycles, just to find drugs, man. Find means and ways to use. And, the irony is, we're never scared, we're never shy to introduce ourselves to complete strangers and ask them if we party in a complete different city. But we're scared to raise our hand in meetings or 12-step fellowship halls. And we're scared to raise our hand and ask for help, or we're scared to reach out. And it's fear-based.
we're comfortable with the chaos and the mayhem that's associated with this lifestyle, but we're not comfortable with serenity, with peace, with change. But yet our mind wants all of these things. You know, we find ourselves sometimes during our addiction in these real dark places, man. I know for me, holidays were always real dark. And I remember one in particular, man. I was in an empty apartment that just abandoned, and I had a mattress on the floor, and I was surrounded by filth, beer cans, bottles, you name it. No sheet on the mattress on the floor, and it was around Christmas time, and I just asked myself, how did I get here? I hadn't spoken to my daughter or my family in months. And man, I just asked God, please don't let me wake up from this, man. You know, take me. And a lot of things I have forgotten, but for some odd reason, you know, there were some moments where you just don't forget, and that was one of them. And even though I was in this dark spot, I wanted change, but I just didn't know how to go about it. And there were plenty of attempts prior to that where I had gotten clean for short periods of time, and you know, only to relapse again. 30, 60, 90 days, even 6 months, 9 months. You know, continuously in and out, and the whole time I'm trying to figure this thing, and I don't know if it was, trying to figure out recovery or trying to figure out life, and they both go hand in hand, and
So I was going to ask you, like, what did you know about yourself at that time?
that I had a little bit of fight in me. I wasn't. I was disappointed and discouraged a lot at failing, but I still had some fight in me.
On January 16th, 2012 was that moment when I finally said, enough is enough, Manny. This is what we're gonna do. And coming from an institutional background, and some of y'all may be saying, what the hell is an institutional background? Well, it means that I was raised more by state and Department of Corrections and juvenile programs than I was by my life. And when you're raised in these places, you really are structured. You're told when to get up, when to go eat, when to do, just about every moment of your daily life, from sleep to waking up to eating, you're being told when to.
I was talking to a brother serving a life sentence. He'd been down like 18, 19, 20 years by that time. And I asked him, how do you do it? And he told me, man, I applied the 3 B's every day. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about, 3 B's? Believe, behold, and be strong. But then he said something that was more, that was never forgotten. And he told me, man, I'm more free in here, man, than most people outside of society. Years later, I found myself free with everything I ever dreamed of having. losing it. And I remember his words, because I was in a worse prison than he was, and I was in my mind. You know, a lot of people say, man, you know, they'll never forget where they come from. And I do, because I've been clean a long time. I've been sitting in couches and, you know, have remote controls, and central AC, and getting cars, and, you know, have food in the fridge, and lay in some memory foam, you know, beds, and wake up to showers. Human nature is to forget, man. Human nature is to, you know, sometimes, you know, be ungrateful. Because when you've had those things for so long, you have a tendency to not value them. It's like a kid with his toy when he first gets it. For the addict, it's keeping where we come from fresh in our minds. It's not about the car, it's not about the toy, but keeping that. And, you know, they say you can't move forward, you know, holding on to the past. I have to disagree with that to some extent. Yes, you let go, but you also have to remember. You reach a place where, you know, what's next? You know, what can I do? You practically accomplish everything you set your mind to do, and mental health kicks in. You know, because I get bored easily. And sometimes I don't feel like painting, sometimes I don't feel like going to meetings. And I start being ungrateful. You know, I spoke in Washington, D.C. at the federal rally, and I mentioned, you know, sadly enough, we have to wait for tragedy to happen for us to change. And, you know, what about if I told you that in the middle of your great life, that spiritually and mentally and emotionally, it's not feeling so great to you with all the comforts around you. You take yourself away from that. You take yourself away, not the police, not the courts, and just sit back for 3 days in a real uncomfortable environment where you may place yourself homeless, go sleep on the streets, live with a minimum for 3 days, 2 days. Go talk to homeless people. You know, ride your bike to an outside restaurant where everybody eats and you're dirty. It'll do something to your spirit, which is what I was looking for. And, you know, it's like a little jumper, man. You know, your battery, you know, it goes down a little bit and the car won't start, you won't switch over. I think us humans don't switch over sometimes, and we just need a little jump. And, you know, I constantly try to find myself some, you know, something to jump, whether it be projects, obviously going homeless for, you know, over the weekend and, you know, not looking at the forecast, Super Bowl weekend. And, you know, I made sure that I got out of my county and I went far away, because the temptation of quitting what I was doing was really strong. I questioned my sanity a few times. So did a few of my friends. And perseverance, man. You know, perseverance. I wanted to quit. I wanted to come home to my bed, get in my car. I had no business out there. But yet, I did. Because I was searching. And I questioned it to the extent that I even looked at how much an Uber would cost for me to go from Miami back home to Palm Beach County, and that I would leave my bike tied up and come get it the next morning. And just then I said, the rain stopped, and I got on my bike and I rationalized this like an addict. I said, okay, let me get back on my bike, let me go north a little bit further. If worst case scenario, the Uber will be less. And I must have rode my bike maybe 2-3 miles down Collins Avenue, 81A, I think it was. And I found this building with all the lights on, but no cars. No cars nowhere, man. And, you know, as I'm riding my bike through the sidewalk, I passed an underground, and, you know, I turned back and my body ached, man. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, 2:30, something like that. And I found what I was searching for. Found a place to lay my head at night, my first night out. And the breeze was coming, you know, through. It was cold, man, but I brought a little blankie, and I had a hoodie on. You know, the blankie I had was only like a little small mini one, so I wrapped my feet because I had shorts, because my feet were cold, and I put my hoodie over me. And I found this place I could lay my head in, man, and I cried. I cried because I was about to quit. And it took me back to that place where I quit so many times before. And you know, I got home that Sunday, man. Probably the best sleep I've had in years. It was, sometimes I say I should do that at least once a year. Because it'll keep you grateful. You know, I try to ride bike buses again, you know, but sleeping out there in the elements, it like awakens instincts in you that you haven't had to use in years. You know, when you're out there ripping and running, catching a bus, you know, talking to strangers, and that's second nature, you know. Now you like, and you back to doing that again. And I had conversation with people on the bus. But that first night back home, man, oof. So that's how I keep my gratitude, man. That's how I don't forget, you know. People like myself, you know, we look at a crayon and it's a crayon, and you know, broken or not, but in this case, broken, you know, it still has the same functions as if it wasn't broken. But our mind gives us this misconception about, you know, the crayon is broken. How is that gonna function? It may not be how we want it. You know, nobody likes anything broken, but that doesn't mean that it will not still color. And the metaphor of that with me and my life, it was easy to relate. I try to be different, man, because for so long, you know, I wanted to fit in and I wanted to, you know, be a part. And you know, through my own process and my journey in recovery, you know, I learned that being who I am and being different is really okay. And I also learned that I didn't have to let my past experiences and the things that I have been through hindered me from becoming, you know, the things I always dreamed of, man. Just wanted to be happy, man. You know, today I know I would have sold myself short, man. You know, I always say not only that I want to be happy, but I wanted to be normal. Well, what's the definition of normal? God had other plans.
this broken crayon, which is me, never really could understand, why the things that were happening in my life were happening, and I don't think I ever will, and I'm okay with that today. The one thing that can tell you is, because of those things, I am the person who I am today. A lot of times I would relapse and try to get clean again, to get things back in my life. Things I had lost, right? This time around, it was a little bit different. I wasn't worried about getting things back in my life, and believe me, I had zero. This time I focused on something else. I focused on me. I focused on my recovery. As I started to draw and paint, I started getting that connection with God. And that was amazing, man, because, I painted and drawn before for many years inside of, institutions. But this time I was doing it in a free society, which was totally different. And it started to nurture my spirit, and there is a healing power in being creative and using your gifts. And for me, it's painting. And God had plans, man, and His plans didn't just start with me painting now in a free society. I think it started when He first gave me this gift, and I realized that I had this gift, which was when I was in prison. And I was painting the envelopes and, the Christmas cards and the Valentine's cards and the Mother's Day card. And it started then, and now it was being used to heal me from, a life of trauma, and it would set the stage for what was coming next. So I think that part of my life was the part when I realized that, hey, this broken crayon can still do some things. And the journey has been amazing. Today I have 9 years and 7 months clean. My art has taken me to places that I never thought of. I started writing like 15 years ago. Started writing in detox and homeless shelters, and I was able to keep all these notes together. Years later I got clean and I had all these notes, and it was always just still a dream for me to one day, add that title to my resume, published author, from revolutions to revelations. And one of the hardest things I ever had to do, man, because I had to learn how to block the noise. If you read my book, thank you. If you haven't, please do. But the beautiful part about it is that, the outcome is not up to me. And I've always tell people this with painting. The outcome is never mine. The outcomes is God. My only job is to start and trust. So I'm excited to have pushed my limits with this. Do things you never done, man. Try, man. There's no failure in trying. There's none. There's only failure if you don't. I still want to do things, and this upcoming year is going to be very challenging. But once again, I can taste it. I can see it. And I'm about to execute it. Where it's going to take me, I don't know. But like I mentioned earlier, the outcome is not mine. I'm not even going to, even though I'm gonna be driving something, I'm not really gonna do the driving. We know who's doing the driving. You know, I want to continue to be an example and, you know, live in my purpose, man, and help others find theirs.
Broken crayon, still color.
Broken crayons, still color. Broken crayons, still color. Ever felt you don't belong and alone? I have. Just a kid playing with broken crayons. I wonder if this was an omen. I colored with them and didn't mind. I wonder if this would be the beginning of the test of times. Then one day I mixed the black and white. Looked up to the sky and it was great. Too young to understand that this was the shade of my life.
Too young to understand.
Teenager now with no role model in sight. The streets became my canvas and I destroyed everything in sight. Then one day I looked down and the concrete was great. Was this clown following me every day? No, my mind is not playing tricks on me. This is my life, a broken crayon, not turned into a broken home. That grew up in a broken system, and no, they didn't care. And I said, fuck them, I ain't scared.
I ain't scared.
Now an adult, I understand Black Jennings when he said, must be nice. Broken crayon. Broken crayon, still color.
Crayon, still color.
18, riding my mama from the county. Wishing I would've never grabbed those fucking crayons and mixed that black and white. It's cold as hell in here. I got a frostbite from a tear. And you wouldn't believe who else is here. Yes, my walls are great. He's always near. And in a moment like this, everything became clear. Even though I felt like my prayer was falling on deaf ears. And in a moment like this, everything became clear. Even though it felt like my prayer was falling on deaf ears. Now hear me, this shit called life ain't always what it seems. I didn't choose the broken crayons, they chose me. Gray wasn't an enemy, he was a guardian. And into steel he was forming me. So I got up and rose, not on the third day, but more like 2 decades. Had a conversation with Gray, we close now. I asked him what happened to black and white. He said they found another kid and went off into the night.
Really made.
The years passed, Gray introduced me to wisdom. And in a moment like this, everything became clear. Even though I felt like my prayer was falling on deaf ears. And in a moment like this, everything became clear. Even though I felt like my prayer was falling on deaf ears. Even though I felt like my prayer was falling on deaf ears. Falling on deaf ears. One day, walking, I look back up to the sky, but it's no longer gray, but blue. Now is this shit a dream? I screamed, Gray, where are you? Nowhere to be found, I kept walking. Then I tripped and fell onto one knee. My hand touching the concrete, I couldn't move. For the first time since a child, I felt fear. Then I remembered this shit is not allowed, we're grown here. Finally got up and there was blood on my knee.
Really made.
Couldn't be another omen, it's been 20 years. My blood mixed with the concrete when I felt the raindrop. Then another one. Why is it raining if the sky's blue? Then I heard a voice saying, son, it don't matter if it's raining with the sky blue. It just matters that even a broken crayon can still color.
Broken crayon can still
And in
color.
a moment like this, everything became clear. Even though I felt like my prayer was falling on deaf ears. And in a moment like this, everything became clear. Even though I felt like my prayer was falling on deaf ears. Rap City, baby. Broken crayon, still color.
Broken crayon, still color.